All right. Let me press this record button before I forget. Get rid of that. Here I am. He who says the things. My camera looks weird to me. There we go. All right. Cool. That's better. Um Rants incoming. Oh yeah, we're going to rant. We're going to rant like crazy, chat. How awesome this is. Actually, like there's always this like other article stuff to the right, so like the actual content of these patch notes gets pushed into where I'm at, and like there's no slider for me to switch it over. So I think what I want to do is open that up. I feel like I've done this in the past, but who knows. Then we'll bring that back up. Then we can do this. And now it's not competing with my face. Yeah, that's just way better, isn't it? Let me just, like before I actually start getting into it, let me just like acquaint myself with the early information I haven't really thought about yet. So theory crafting stream, I'll be there. Should really do a Twitter giveaway. Pre-release brawl. Get 1 free entry. After that, each will cost 2. Does it say? We're just seeing, okay, they are talking about it. So it's core set pre-rotation, event set pre-rotation, and Great Dark Neon and Emerald Dream. All right. Community days, first esports events, qualifiers. Huge. Okay, so I mean, like, I don't really want to talk about that first bit, other than to say that I'm in the theory crafting. Just watch the first Pokemon movie, but halfway through the movie, it turned into Finnish. Like it stopped being English. That's pretty interesting. All right, I'm gonna talk to you guys like your YouTube for just 2 seconds, but I'm gonna like actually reach out a little bit as we go through this. So there's that. Pound it, Sir Cat. Kaku Show. Thank you so much for the 4 months, my friend. I really appreciate you. Your left ear is being assaulted. Am I like really loud? Am I really loud? Blah, 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 blah. It is strange. Like, is that what this means? Like, why is one ear more than the other? Something wrong with my microphone? Mic only on left ear. Is it better now? It is better now, right? It looks like they're both going. Blah, 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 blah. It's fixed? All right, cool. All right. we figured it out, chat. 1 small potato for me. 2 giant heaps of chungus for me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's go with start. Greetings, fellow humans. I'm Martian Boo, and today we have a very exciting patch for probably Hearthstone overall, but also Wild specifically, because this is the revert patch. But in addition to the annual Wild revert changes, we're also getting a large group of nerfs targeted at Standard. So overall, I think it's going to be a pretty big swing. Like, there's some pretty relevant to Wild cards among the Standard changes as well. So I'm just going to go through the patch, focusing mostly on the card changes, and we'll talk about them. Spoiler alert, I'm very happy with the reverts, by the way. Like, it's not my perfect list, but all of my like highest ticket items went the way that I wanted them to. So I'm very happy. Like, I'm not going to complain, but I will talk about what I would have done differently. All right, so first of all, we get the theory crafting stream. I will be doing it, so you can catch me on Twitch probably starting at 9 tomorrow. I don't know. I don't think we're limited to specifically any one slot of the day, so I'll probably try to get on as early as possible, but yeah, I'll see you at some point in the morning, and then until I run out of ideas in the evening. So if you stop by, Twitch drops are enabled. You can come, make me feel happy that I have viewers in my chat, and see me play with new cards before you get to. Then we do have a pre-release brawl. Speaking of things that you actually get to do before the launch, not just me. The pre-release brawl is returning. This time the card pool is a little bit more limited, so it's not going to be full on the last year. It's just, let's see, where does it say it? It's going to be core set before rotation, event set before rotation, which I think was just because it didn't make sense to rotate core sooner for that. I forget. But so yeah, core set pre-rotation, event set pre-rotation, and then we have the Great Dark Beyond, and without the StarCraft mini set and Into the Emerald Dream are going to be available in the pre-release brawl. And so they're trying to like get a nice mix of like, if you didn't actually pre-order, you could still feel like you get to do something, but also big focus on the new cards instead of like the whole previous year, like last time, where it was largely dominated by existing synergies. But also notably along those lines, the StarCraft mini set is excluded. So that was a hyper synergistic set that, if it was allowed, would probably result in all of us facing non-stop StarCraft decks. So there's that. Community Day, March 22nd. I'm sure I'll stream then if I can. But yeah, you can get several packs, including new packs, if you want. Esports Open qualifiers, March 21st to 23rd. I don't really care about that. I assume you don't either, but if you're into the sports, I'm sure that's hype. All right, so into the cards, all right? So first off, we're going to go with the standard focus updates. These are the nerfs to standard cards. So we got Dreadhound Handler, which was a 2-2 and is now going to be a 2-1. This is like an important even DK card, so as far as it affecting Wild, I imagine it's a little bit of a problem, but like not really, right? You're usually trading up with this thing anyway, so I assume it's still good for Wild even DK, because it does still trade, it does still clear a 2 health thing, and it does still give you 3 corpses, so I imagine it'll be fine. Infester is going from a 3-2 to a 4-2, but it is no longer buffing anything's health. For those of us who liked Zerg DK, this is sad. But I mean, like, I don't know, it's probably not going to be the same way anymore, right? Like, the health is important. I assume that deck isn't going to be a thing anymore. But maybe the attack is enough, I don't know. Hydration Station is going from 8 mana to 10 mana. This card is, it's really funny that this card got nerfed twice. I understand it, I get it. I think it deserved its nerf for standard reasons, but it's really funny when this got released, you know, thinking about how it's getting nerfed 2 times. Then we have Alien Encounters going from 2/5s to 2/4s. Alien Encounters, I think, was on the fringes of Wild play, so like there's a chance this makes a difference, but the fact that it comes down for free, I don't know. It's probably still good in anything where it was good enough before. The Painter's Virtue is just losing its lifesteal, which matters, but it's also really funny because, like, why did that card have lifesteal to begin with? It's a nerf to Yogg Tentacles, that's true. The alien encounters. But yeah, so Painter's Virtue wasn't really a card in Wild lately. I don't imagine it will notice that change. Glow Sticks is a pretty significant change. So it's going from being able to target anything to only being able to target minions, which I think means it gets cut from Libram Paladin. I think, not considering the rest of the changes we're going to talk about today, if this was the only change to Libram Paladin, I think the deck would still be good. And I'm not sure you would still run Glow Sticks, but like, Glow Stick is okay, right? Like, it's not what makes the deck as brutal as it is. It's the, like, free tempo that makes Libram so powerful and wild. Like, the 0 mana 5/5 taunts and the, the +3/+3 every turn. So, like, this was good enough to play, but I don't think it makes or breaks the deck. But, so, like, while it did technically get a nerf to its Glow Sticks, and I'm sure this matters for Standard, by the way. I'm not trying to say it doesn't matter for Standard, but if we're talking about it for Wild, Libram Paladin is going to be better after these changes, despite this nerf. So we'll talk about that when we get to it, but I expect as much or more Libram Paladin. Timewinder Zarimi is going from having to summon dragons to having to specifically play dragons, which is really funny. Like, was this card that good in Standard? I know it was still played, but like, it wasn't that good, right? I think they're concerned with like last year's stuff being played too much, which bums me out that that's a mentality. But like, it wasn't that good, right? Maybe it'd be too strong post rotation. Maybe just didn't lose enough. What dragons were being summoned? It was the miniature thing. Was the summoned one. Pretty sure this card was only good because of Ceaseless. Alright, here's the funny one. So, Rosalia Resealed, after spending a year of unplayability in Standard, like being completely untouchable, absolute trash in Standard for an entire year, finally, after all this time, after all these millions of years, finally gets some synergy, right? Like the hero power imbue is, we have Raza synergy. It can finally be a card. Except that, no, it can't. As soon as this approaches playability, no. Do we know what the imbue is yet on the priest? That's something I should have researched in advance. What is it? Oh, okay. Actually, someone in my Discord actually posted it for me. Cool. So it's Blessing of the Moon. Choose a priest minion or priest spell to add to your hand. Choose a priest minion? Oh, like you choose between priest spell or priest minion. It costs one less, but it is temporary. That was too strong with Raza? Oh, once you imbue a few times, it costs way less, right? Like it starts to cost, like 3 and 4 and 5 less. Interesting. Also, I feel like there's too much glare on my camera. What's going on with this chat? Why is my camera always so fiddly? Is that better? Seems more normal. Maybe it's worse. I don't know. I don't know anything. But yeah, I guess once you've imbued a few times, you're just getting a bunch of cards that you can easily play for free. So I guess I get it. They brutally murdered him. Yeah, no, that's the really funny thing to me is like they didn't change this to once per turn or 5 charges or anything. They changed it completely. It's like not even it doesn't have anything to do with its original card anymore. I guess it makes something cost 0. That has something to do with the original card, but like as a throwback card, this isn't what even is this? Shuffle copies of 5 random friendly minions that die this game to your deck. They cost 0. What are we doing with that? Nothing. All right. So that's just funny. I don't know. Like I trust them. I guess that was a necessary change, but it's pretty funny that it got so gutted. It was never allowed to be good, right? I think I always like things to be released, give players a chance to try it and then nerf it if it's too much. But like that ship has sailed, right? Like we don't really do that as much as we used to. So I'm not gonna cry over something that can't be changed. So Orbital Halo is going from +2/+1 to +1/+1. That seems something. Yep. I mean, this was a good card in Wild. It's just it wasn't like the rest of the deck. I don't think was really there, but you know, in decks that could use this, this was a good card in it. So, like this will matter even if we don't notice that it mattered. Domino Effect is going from 3 to 4. I'm kind of sad because I've really been enjoying Domino Effect in Reno Warlock, but the thing is, it's gone from odd to even. So, I don't know. It's pretty cool. Neo Sephiroth, thank you so much for the Prime, my friend. I appreciate you. Even Lock Stonks, indeed. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's exciting for exactly that, right? Like, I'm a little bummed about it for generally because I enjoyed it, but I might have gotten all the fun I needed to get out of it. It could be that I won't I won't be playing with this at 3 mana anymore anyway, and now that it costs an even amount, I might try it in Even Warlock when I try that next. Kerrigan, Queen of Blades, is going from 7 to 8 mana, as predicted by me as soon as I saw it the first time. Surprising literally no one. Was this necessary with the Infestor change? Probably. It was a really good card. Ooh, Zergling is getting the Serenite Chain Gang. The Serenite Chain Gang treatment. So now if you hand buff this Zergling, didn't they print specific hand buff synergy for this? I have to go back and look at it, but like, yeah, I mean, like it affects things like Schaefer, right? Like they don't have any other, they don't have Walpertinger, right? So, anyways, this is getting the Serenite Chain Gang treatment. You guys remember when Serenite Chain Gang got nerfed like this? Well, yeah, pretty funny. Wait. Summon a copy of this. Did it really say summon a copy of this? Shaman couldn't use it. I was like, why on earth did I not build a Shudderwalk deck with this while it still did what it did before? But yeah, it's not, Shaman doesn't have access to it. Jim Raynor also going from 7 to 8. Not surprising considering the dominance of, you know, this stuff in Standard. We're not going to notice this at all in Wild. I don't, like, are we even going to notice this in Wild? I don't think so. Like, the Zerg package is like in mid-range Germunger Hunter, the Zerg package is an option, right? Like, you don't have to run the Zerg package. So, like, it was getting barely played in one archetype is my point. So this is Starship piece is going from 7 armor to 5 armor. This one is going from hitting all enemies to only hitting minions. While they're nerfing a lot of these, this one is when it's launched, you gain 2 random bonus effects instead of 3. Are they nerfing all of them? Were there only 4 or were there 5? Wow. These are good changes, by the way, actually. Like, I felt like the Starship package in Shaman was like way too oppressive. There's the one that summons 2/2s. Oh yeah, the forgettable one. I guess we don't nerf that one. It's weird that Protoss didn't get nerfed at all. Well, Protoss wasn't that great, right? Yeah, so that's going from 5 to 3. Way less disgusting. The Ceaseless Expanse is going from a 15/15 to a 10/10, which will matter for Wild because Ceaseless Expanse is really stupid. Like stupid busted. Like it's really, really broken. So, you know, it gets used in everything. So going from 15 to 10 attack is really going to matter as far as how much pressure playing this can put on you, but it's still like a, you know, one of the best cards you can play. Like it's really good. So expect to see literally as much of this as you have been previously. It's still really good. Incendious is going from 6 to 7 mana. You know, like when this card was released, I would never have guessed that it would get nerfed. Like, wow. This seemed like such an innocuous card to me, but, you know, it has seen a lot of play in Standard. We're not going to notice that in Wild, though, right? Like, nobody plays this unless they're having a fun. This is one of the biggest impacts on Wild, in my opinion. I think, where does this see play in Standard? They play it in, like, Shaman and stuff. They shuffle them in, and then they draw spells and deal extra damage. Anyways, Bartender is, like, incredibly good. So, it is a very powerful card. And I think that this change is very good for Standard and very bad for Wild. I feel like this is a pretty... Like, this was a very efficient safety valve that was free for everyone against certain archetypes, you know, including but not limited to, like, the Velen Changing interaction, right? Like, Bob is good enough that pretty much every deck that would lose to the Serenite Chain-Gang interaction could play this, and it would be good everywhere. And you would have this just easy option to deal with a Velen once whatever. Back to running Silence in your Reno piles. Reno piles are so fine. we're about to see. Like, even as they are right now, I think a Reno pile doesn't have a good excuse to be tilted by Serenite Velen, in my opinion. But like, those should be the least affected by this. But, like, just generally, if you're running a slower deck that would just auto-fold to Villain otherwise, you know, you would just play this, and it's a good card to have in your deck regardless, and then it's a nice safety valve for that specifically, but also for other strategies. I just feel like this was a very well-rounded card that made Wild better. However, this is also in Standard, and I don't think it makes Standard better. So, hopefully this gets reverted when it rotates, but, you know, if it matters, but, yeah. I'm a little bummed for Wild for this, but I understand. I'm not going to be mad because, you know, Standard. This was pretty gross there. Ziliax is getting nerfed once again. So the elusive Poisonous Reborn one, what did that have initially that it already lost? Didn't that have 4 keywords before? Stealth. Oh, okay, yeah. So this is losing yet another keyword, but it is gaining +1/+1, so there you go. Then we have Gorgon Zormu, which finally, I mean, like, I don't want to be too excited about fine cards getting nerfed, right? But, like, when I saw this, I was like, there's no way this doesn't get nerfed eventually. And the prophecy has been, you know, whatever. The prophecy has come to fruition something. This is getting nerfed. Did I hold on to my extra copies? Oh no, I might not have. I might have, like, given up at some point. I don't remember. But did I hold on to extra? This was a free one, wasn't it? It's only the signature, and I'm keeping that signature. So yeah, never mind. But yeah, like, it did get nerfed. Arcanite Defense Crystal, another pretty innocuous card I never would have expected to get nerfed. It's like the one good star piece from Great Dark Beyond, not the mini set. You know how the star pieces weren't good? And, like, what really gets me about this is, like, we were kind of waiting on rotation for starships to be exciting. And, like, right as that happens, this one gets nerfed. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, it was pretty surprising to me that this was on the list, but I don't know. It seems like how it would have been printed 3 years ago, and it would have been a fine card, but I don't know that it holds up now. Yep. All right, so on to the really juicy part. This is the Wild Reverts. Wild Reverts, so the Wild focused updates. Reska the Pit Boss. So Reska was still good at 25. The problem is Reska wasn't even at 25. So now it's being reverted back to 20 mana, so we can play it in even DK again. Which is significant because this is one of the biggest payoffs for playing even DK right now. So, like, missing this was like, okay, DK is just gone. We're not even talking about that class anymore. But now we can, like, consider DK even decks again, because we got our biggest payoff back. So that's exciting. Sickly Grimewalker is leaving Even Decay, which is fine because nobody was playing this anyway. What's really cool about this is now we can start considering last year's Sickly Grime. I forget if it was last year or the year before when this got nerfed, but recently there was Sickly Grimewalker plus the Gnomes. That was like a standard level Flurgle Toxfin. And I think they're both, like the Gnomes cost 1 Unholy, right? So if you have Zerg, or if you have, someone said Zerg. Zerg DK is better than DK in Wild right now. Oh yeah, for sure. So if you have 1 Unholy, which I think even if you're going for blood control, because of Airlock Breach, you're running at least 1 Unholy anyway. And we have a lot of good blood Unholy stuff coming soon. Like, you know, this is a good option now. Like, this was 4 before, and now it costs 3 when it was good in standard. So hopefully that's good enough. If there's the control payoffs are there for a control blood unholy DK deck in Wild, I think this will be a good tool to have back. Like, even DK is on complete life support, but at least it's not dead anymore. Yeah, true. Blind Eye Sharpshooter is going from a 4 mana 3/3 to a 3 mana 1/3. We're not going to see this anymore, right? Like, even when it was completely unnerfed, it wasn't really a deck in Wild, was it? It was just kind of something people played for the fun of it. I mean, we might have enough. I don't know. I honestly, I have no idea. Needs to be 2 mana to be played. I don't know about that. For the first couple days, it was decent, but that was just because people were experimenting with new stuff, right? Didn't it just stop getting played immediately? Anyways, I'm like this version of it certainly didn't get played, right? Like I know that I didn't see the 3 mana 1/3 running around often. It would have been the 3 mana 1/5 version. Thinking about how this was printed as a 3 mana 1/5, that's crazy. Like, that is so much health for this. All right, so Desert Nest Matron is coming back. I actually was not expecting this one. I welcome it. I welcome it. Oh, and we got Splish Splash Whelp too. I didn't even think about that. Like, we were playing Druid recently, and I was thinking about the Splish Splash Whelp nerf and excited for it to come back. And then I was like, there's no way it's getting unnerfed. But like, here it is, unnerfed. Sick. I'm so excited. So this one, I could take it or leave it. I'm not like too excited about Nest Matron. Obviously, this is good, right? Like this is a significant buff, but it was like pretty playable enough anyway as a 3/4. It was more about Splish Splash Whelp being a 3 cost that ruined the Dragon package. So this coming back is really exciting for me. I love the Dragon Druid. 1 second. All right. Cactus Construct coming back. I think this was playable in Wild, right? Like, it's not like it was exciting, but it was playable. So if you were going to play like a token deck, for example, you would play this. I don't think we have room for it in any of the slower Druid builds, but... Doomkin! So it is going from 7 mana back to 6 mana. We were just playing with this a bunch in Warlock. So it's actually kind of bad news, because at 7 mana it corrupted Ticketus, and now it doesn't. But it's a much more real card on its own merits at 6 than it was at 7. But yeah, it as far as this picture is concerned, it hasn't had its stats reverted. So I don't know if that's just like a blog post error. I wouldn't like be super excited about this, because I think there's a high likelihood it's unintentional and it'll get released as a 3/4. But we did get a bonus buff if Uh, if it's keeping its stats, because when it was released, it was a 6 mana 3/4, not a 4/5. But yeah, I mean, like I have more respect for this now that Ysera exists. So like Warlock can actually like Druid can't really use Doomkin. I mean, it can. Druid can use Doomkin better than Warlock, but Druid has so much other ramp that this isn't that efficient for it. So like the class that doesn't have a lot of ramp is Warlock, but the problem is once you get to 6 or 7, you're already pretty close to max, and ramping doesn't matter as much anymore. So now we have Ysera, so Warlock has a 15 mana cap instead of a 10 mana cap. So I think this card gets a lot better now that Ysera is out, but also gets better now that it's getting its mana cost reverted. Shattered Reflections is another one I'm shocked to see reverted. Like, this one really surprises me. There's one here that's worse, I think. There's one thing on this list where I'm like, really? We unnerfed that? Flash of Lightning. But the... like, this one also is just kind of like... I had a lot of fun with this, by the way. I'm not trying to say that, like, I'm not going to have fun playing Shattered Reflections, but it's going to be obnoxious, right? Like, A&R refresh, play this, A&R draw, play your other A&R refresh. Like, that's the shenanigans that was happening when this couldn't target Titans. So I don't know. Wait, choose a minion, add a copy to your hand deck, and it's both. Like, before it was doing like, it got nerfed twice, right? Like, to non-Titan and then to not go to the battlefield anymore. My goodness. Sounds like nerf A&R time. I feel like we just shouldn't have unnerfed this one, if anything. Like, I think it's okay to have it hit the battlefield and shuffle back into the deck, but I think it should have kept the non-Titan part. Anyways, I mean, like, I'm going to have fun with this. I'm sure it's going to be obnoxious, so look forward to it. Starstrung Bow, we're not going to notice. Well, I don't know. I think it was already pretty good at 5/2. So, like, if a hunter deck was going to run a secret package, it was kind of worth running Starstrung Bow as it was. But now, if we're doing that, it's going to be a little bit better. I think that I don't think the extra attack on this makes or breaks whether, secret hunter is playable. So, saddle up. Okay, this is the card that I was most surprised to see nerfed in the past, year or so. Like, this to me is a throwaway filler card, and it actually got nerfed. I was so tickled, but yeah, I understand it was actually good in standard, but it's pretty funny. We're not going to notice this in wild. Like, random stuff in wild is trash. That said, like, I mean, if we get something that for 1 or no mana fills your board, right? Like, we'd play that on 3 with this. That would be fine if we're not playing against Shaman, but yeah. Awakening Tremors, going from 3 attack to 4 attack. I think this will matter. I think this card had largely stopped seeing play in wild decks. I think it was still a decent option as a 3/1, but then we kept getting more decent options, so there's that. I think at 4/1 these are good again, so we'll see them pop up in places that stop playing it, but I don't know. It's kind of borderline. I'm happy to see Inquisitive Creation come back. It was nerfed to 5 mana, now it's at 4 again. I thought this card was cool. That said, are we going to be... I mean, like, you're happy if Hostage Mage clears your board, right? So I don't think this is a buff to that deck. Chaos Creation. So was deal... They changed all the numbers to 5 other than the mana cost? And now it's all back to 6s again. And it'll be cool. You can play this if you want to. All right, so now we're into some real... These are the real ones, chat. Showdown is going back to 2, and Prismatic Beam is going back to 7, and also all enemies, right? Like, this goes face again. and it costs 7 again. So rip even Paladin, because even Paladin relied on this costing 8. But like, my goodness, the full revert on Showdown Beam is pretty crazy to me. Like, if you hated Libram before, enjoy it with its free 3/3s that it just buffs out of control and clears your board with the Prismatic Beam. I really liked that combo, so for me personally, I'm kind of excited to see it back. But it's a big buff to a deck that's already way at the top of the meta, right? So it seems controversial considering some of the things that were left off. Then we have Keeper's Strength, which is another really good Paladin clear. To be honest, people don't really remember that Keeper Strength was also really good even in Wild. No, I agree. I was just about to get to it, but I mean, it's not on the same level as Showdown Beam, but it's up there. It's a really good clear. A really good tempo, clears all of their minions. That's great. It's pretty good. And could even Paladin play Keeper? There's no reason to play even Paladin now that we have Libram Paladin, right? I don't know why I keep talking about it, but it does technically get Keeper Strength back. But yeah, this card was really good. Do I think it's going to get played in Libram Paladin? Maybe. If we're going Showdown, Keeper Strength, Prismatic Beam, you're just never ever losing to aggro ever again in Libram Paladin. Actually pretty crazy. Thirsty Drifter is going back from 7 to 6 mana. This card was actually played in at 6 mana. People were playing a bunch of weirdo 1-drops in Shadow Priest just to be able to enable this card. So we could see it show up in Shadow Priest again, but I don't know if Extra Large Shadow Priest has the consistency to pull this off. I have no idea. Injured Hauler is going from DL1 back to DL2. Don't think that matters for Wild. Lab Constructor going from 5 mana to 4 mana. I don't think that matters for Wild. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't matter. It's fine. Shatter Shambler. We gutted the bridge thing, right? What was that card called? The 3-turn sigil thing for Rogue. The obnoxious one. The Mind Rogue one. It doubled Death Rattles. Snowfall Graveyard, thank you. That got gutted, right? That costs 5 now. So this is okay. Was this doing anything else other than Mind Rogue stuff? Next Death Rattle minion you play immediately dies. Next Death Rattle. I think it mattered for weird Mechathune builds. Yeah. I mean, I think this is probably fine to bring back considering we don't have Graveyard anymore. Coppertail Snoop from a 3/2 back to a 4/3. I don't think that matters for Wild. I'm concerned about this one. And Frog costs 5, right? So it's not as scary as it could be, but because Frog cost 3 when this was introduced, wasn't it? Questline Shaman though? Am I afraid of that without Frog? I'm trying to be optimistic, I guess. Seeing this on the list was really? But I mean, it might be okay. It might be okay. Clash of Thunder is going from 6 to 5 mana, which I think makes it a real card again, but I don't know that it matters too much. If this is good, this will get played in that deck, but yeah. So Doc Holiday getting reverted is pretty interesting. A year ago, I would have told you that this change is to be expected, right? But last year really threw me off. Last year, a ton of things I expected to be easy reverts didn't get reverted. I was very confused. But this year, a lot of the stuff that I think my old bar wouldn't have been surprised by are getting reverted. So anyways, Doc Holiday was already a good card. in Reno Shaman builds. And Reno Shaman not getting played has nothing to do with whether or not the staff has 2 or 1 attack, but it's pretty cool. It's getting reverted. I'm into it. Aftershocks going for the full revert. Was it? It was. It was nerfed and then buffed. That's what it was. It wasn't nerfed twice. Sorry. So yeah, I mean, this is getting reverted. It's because it was reverted in a way that even Warrior could still use it, but it just wasn't as good, right? Like its most recent form was just cost 1 less, and it still cost 4. So pretty cool that even Warrior is getting a bit of a buff with this. It's getting a much bigger buff. It's getting a much bigger buff in a second here. We'll get to it. Forge of Will is going from 4 mana to 3 mana. I don't know how I feel about this. And that's true. This is also a Shaman card, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, Shaman will play this again. It's a good card again. It was mid before, now it's good. So on the one hand, Even can't play this anymore, but like, I don't even think this was that good of a card in Even, right? Like this was mid. You know where I think I would play this? I would play this maybe in that like Shuffle Warlock I was just playing. Because like, you know, we have the Playhouse and the Ceaseless Expanse that we discount so efficiently that like, you know, we could make good use of this better at 3 because I was never playing it at 4. So like maybe this would be cool. Like maybe we can work with it again. Also, Molten Giant is getting reverted, so maybe there's like some kind of like extra large self-damage Warlock that would play Molten Giant with this. As someone who's played a lot of Even, this was a pretty good part of it. As someone who's played a lot of Even, this was a pretty forgettable part of it. Guess we disagree. Crescendo. We have going from 3 mana back to 2. I didn't even know this. When did this get nerfed? It makes sense that it was nerfed. It was pretty absurd, but I don't remember it. Yeah. It's pretty good. Popgar cooking back, I guess so. Sludge on Wheels also getting a revert. I don't think these matter too much. Like, the Fatigue package did impact Wild a little bit, but it always felt like a scuffed Demon Seed to me, not like an actual good deck. Rip Odd Warlock, too true. Waste Remover, going from 5/7 back to a 7/7. It's pretty funny that got nerfed in the first place. Azurite Snake is getting reverted. It's probably fine, right? Because we have Renathal. You need to do this 4 times to permanently kill your opponent. So I don't know how to feel about this. It's either going to be something I forget about. This is kind of like circling all the way back to when my concerns about Quest Rogue. We would talk about whether or not it was okay to revert Quest Rogue, and I would be like, there's 2 outcomes of reverting Quest Rogue. Either it goes from being terrible to still being terrible, or it goes from terrible to being not terrible, and then it was a bad change, right? Like, if the change matters, then it was a mistake to make. And then they reverted it, and the change didn't matter for a year. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. It was a good change then, because like if you really like Quest Rogue, you know, you can at least enjoy it in its slightly worse state, but it's still bad. Then they printed that 2 mana 2/2 guy that gives you the 1/1 rushers in hand, and suddenly the deck was really good. And I was like, why'd they revert Quest Rogue? But anyways, all that is to say, this is the same thing. I'll either forget that this was ever reverted, or it'll be a change that frustrates me. We'll have to see. Movement of Pride is going from draw a minion to draw your highest cost minion, which means Sargeras is back on the menu. Which is very exciting because it was really cool that Reno Warlock was a real deck in Wild. Like, Reno Warlock, while this and Sargeras existed together, was an actual real good deck in Wild, and it was really cool. And I have your same concerns about Ceaseless, but here's the thing. Ceaseless makes an excellent ETC card. Just put it in your ETC. Like a lot of decks just do that anyway. So like it's no sweat off your back. Just throw it in the ETC. You can still play Ceaseless, and you can play this always hitting Sargeras. So excited for that. Ysera? I mean, you probably wouldn't play Ysera if you're trying to hit Sargeras. You're just trying to hit Sargeras. You don't need to get to 15 mana if you're playing, Symphony, Sargeras necessarily. But if you're like me, you might play them both. Then we have Odin, which is like, I was really worried that this wasn't getting reverted. This is the card I was most excited to come back, because the fact that Even Warrior was a thing at all was hilarious. It was so funny. And then Even Warrior wasn't a deck anymore. But like Even Warrior was such a meme, and then it actually became real. It was pretty silly. So I really like that deck. I'm excited to see it come back. And it's not just this. Most of its support cards got reverted too. So there's only one in particular that I can think of that didn't. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be fun. We can play Even Warrior again. Not only that, but we get Sanitize is getting reverted twice. So it's going all the way back to 4. It's skipping the 5 when Even couldn't run it all together. And Craftsman's Hammer, for some reason, is getting its extra armor back. Remember when Touch of the Nathrezim didn't get its extra health back? Yeah, I wasn't expecting this to get reverted. This was still decent. It just needed 8 mana Odin. But yeah, so like I'm excited about that. Battle-Worn Faceless, like, could be cool. I think if this ends up being a real card in Wild, I'm going to hate it, though, because it's just going to copy something that's going to hit me in the face for 30 damage. But anyways, Deep Miner Brand, going from 8 mana to 6 mana. This is another one that I kind of like, I felt was, this is definitely fine for Wild, but wasn't expecting it to get reverted based off of what happened last year. So I'm pleased to see Brand. I don't know. I mean, I kind of just want to run full on Even Warrior, but I guess like I could try. I'll probably play like once these reverts actually go live, I'll probably play a lot of Warrior until the new expansion comes out. But I'm most excited about the full on Even Warrior coming back, but like, and I'm separately excited for Reno Warrior. I don't really want to mix them together that much, but I probably will, because like you have enough armor gain that you can go Reno with it, and like you can put this. Even Reno Warrior has a really good ETC, so you can run like Shield Shatter and Frozen Buckler, and you can run is it called Armor Up? What is it called? Level Up? What's the thing called? It's not Level Up. Bring It On, right? That's the one. So like you can run whatever the scuffed version of Frozen Buckler is, the other 2 mana 10 armor thing. So like if you're running Deep Miner Brand and in an Even Warrior, once you have Brand up, you can play your ETC and get 20 damage out of it, because you get to pick the second Frozen Buckler, and you also have a Bring It On in there just for that interaction. So like my point is basically going Reno Even isn't stupid. Like there are upsides to it. Like you get your Astalor in your Reno Even is much better than your Astalor in your regular Even. So there's upsides, but I'm more excited about regular Even and Reno Warrior separate from each other. Isn't Bring It On 1 mana 10 attack thing? I think that's called Hit Him Really Hard or something stupid like that. I'm sure Bring It On is what I'm thinking of. Yeah. It's this one. Gain 10 armor. But like the reducing your opponent's hand by 2 doesn't matter if you kill them. So that's Warrior. Pretty excited for that. Yogg-Saron is a change that I won't notice, I don't think. Because, like, it is technically better at 9 than 10, right? Like, it definitely is. But once you're at 9, you're so close to 10 that it's just kind of like, unless you have it exactly on curve, it doesn't matter if this costs 9 or 10. Anyways, a deck that was going to run 9 mana Yogg would probably still run 10 mana Yogg, so that's all. Probably not going to notice that revert. Reno Lone Ranger was my only, like, this was the change that would make or break whether or not I was happy with these reverts. All right. Like, I don't even care about the change they actually did. I care only about the change they didn't do. Reno Lone Ranger is going back to his original mana cost, but his text is not changing. I was so stressed out about the thought of that text coming back. Like, Hearthstone has been so much more fun to play my gimmicky, weird stuff that I play without, like, all my stuff just randomly getting removed, even if it's dormant, and then I get time warped every game. Like, no matter what class my opponent's playing, just this happens to me every single time. I'm so pleased. Wild has been... I don't think this effect is as obnoxious as 2 mana Lucia or 4 mana Theotar, but, like, I don't know, the fact that this could go into every single class compared to a Lucia, at least, I don't know. This card was obnoxious when it had its old text. I don't know. I'm just, like, gushing over it. I'm so happy. I was really stressed out because, like, if they brought this text back, I was gonna be frustrated. But yeah, so, like, I'm already happy because this card didn't get its text revert, right? Like, that was my baseline of me being happy or miserable about these revert changes. But a lot of my, like, other cards I was really hoping would get reverted got reverted too, like Odin especially. So at 8 mana, are we gonna see more Renos? Probably, yeah. It was like, I think it was just bad enough at 10 that Highlander saw some loss in popularity. Like, I don't really see as much Highlander as I'm used to. So I think at 8 mana, this card is now strong enough again to maybe carry the popularity a bit more. But hard to say. This or Shadow Reaper Anduin? Yeah, see, no. I mean, like, in Raza, you either run both or you just run Anduin, right? I mean, you just run both. Because Raza Priest doesn't rely on doing the... Raza Priest doesn't rely on the Raza Anduin synergy as much as it used to. It's a pile first, and Raza Anduin is one of its options. So, like, you win by being a pile most of the time, and then every once in a while, you know, refreshing your hero power a bunch wins you a game. So I think you would just run both. You probably just mainboard them both. Might still be Anduin in the ETC. Nah. If you're gonna run Reno Priest, you're gonna mainboard Anduin. If anything, this would go in the ETC, but I think you just mainboard them both. Pozic is going back to a 5/4. I remember being really unhappy with this nerf because this is just a solid card, right? Like, it felt weird that this card just got nerfed for being too solid. Like, it was neutral, so it got played a lot. Like, I don't know. I didn't really miss it because it's not a card I've ever really liked, but just I remember being unhappy that it got nerfed, period. Like, just on a policy level. I don't know. I think we're past the point where this is a strong card in decks. I feel like this card made it into even decks because it was even, and otherwise didn't see much play in Wild. Molten Giant survived its second nerf. I was trying to think, is this the first time a card has had its nerf reverted twice? Or was that Null first? Did Null get a nerf reverted twice? Or did it not get reverted at all when it rotated? I don't remember. But one of those is the first to have a nerf revert twice. Maybe they'll bring it back and nerf it again later. Celestial Projectionist going from a 3/3 to a 3/2. Or from 3 mana to 2 mana, that's the important part. Yeah. I don't know how good this is. So, like, if it was a 2 mana card, I probably would have tried it in some kind of plot twist build like the ones I was playing recently. Because then Playhouse is really easy to make it cheap. But, I don't know. What wants this? Would Libram Paladin play it? Libram Paladin gets things to 0. Play it with a snake? I guess, yeah. This card will probably show up somewhere, but I don't know where exactly. Rowdy Fan going from 3 attack back to 4 attack. Pretty funny. Pretty funny. Like, this seems like the type of card that could have gotten reverted while it was in standard, but it didn't. Then we have Snake Oil is going from 1 mana to 0 mana, which is great because I think, like, I didn't like that change in the first place. Like, it turned Snake Oil Salesman from, like, a cool, interesting card into a card that was, like, generic. You know, it turned it from an interesting card into a Firefly, right? Like it's the best 1-drop you have available for some decks, so you just play it for curve's sake. But, like, it used to have cool applications prior. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about this change, I guess. I don't know that I'm going to utilize it much. Just, like, again, on a policy level, I wasn't happy with that nerf. So then you can pre-purchase. So some things that didn't get reverted. I'll put a little sticky note here. Like, there's a lot, right? There's a list of, like, 15 cards or so that didn't get reverted. A couple of the standouts for me that are, like, I would have really liked it if they got reverted are Gaslight Gatekeeper. Pretty sad about that. And Hollow Hound. I thought for sure Hollow Hound would get reverted. But, like, no. So that's kind of sad. I'm probably more upset about Hollow Hound than Gaslight. But, like, those are the ones that I would have really liked. Wheel? Well, Wheel is still in standard. Wheel didn't rotate. Then some ones that, like, I don't really care, but they're surprising to me are Boogie Down, Crystal Cluster. Like, who cares about those in Wild? Especially Crystal Cluster. Who cares about Crystal Cluster? Like, I don't know. Trial of the Germonger, or not Trial, Trial by Fire. That was released at 7, buffed to 6, and then had its buff reverted. And typically when that happens, they don't actually revert again, even if it's fine. So, like, I'm not super surprised once I thought about it about Trial of Fire. And the thing is, they did revert so much of the other removal that I'm like, Crystal Cluster got a nerf but didn't make it into the patch notes. Oh, okay. Wait, it's 6 mana on the official site? No. Listen. Odin has been 8 mana on the official site the whole time. It has never been 9 mana on the official site. The official site just doesn't get, like... The official site is frequently inaccurate. Like, that doesn't mean anything. Unless they've said something, I don't think they're reversing Crystal Clusters. So, I assume Crystal Cluster just hasn't been... Like, it wasn't changed on the site after it got nerfed. But anyways, it's not on the list. It's a pretty surprising one. Can't trust the official site? Yeah, you can't. Crystal Cluster, and then Fizzle. Fizzle's really funny. I've heard from multiple places that we're excited that Fizzle isn't getting reverted. And I'm not, like, attached to Fizzle. I don't care. But, like, what are we worried about? The one time Fizzle has ever mattered in Wild, like, the problem was Clergy and Radiant Elemental. And, like, infinite value is already done in several ways, and it's not that good in Wild, right? It's like, what is Fizzle gonna do? I don't know. So I don't know. I don't really care. But yeah. So, like, it's not like last year when Harpoon Gun didn't get reverted. You know, like, that was the one where I was like, I really want that reverted, and you know, like Jailer and Denathrius. But the stuff that actually got left off is kind of okay. Like, I'm a little sad about Gaslight Gatekeeper, a little sad about Hollow Hound, but, like, I'm not going to miss any of the rest of it. Crit Addict, thank you so much for the Prime. But Reno's text box didn't get reverted, which was the thing that mattered to me the most, and Odin got nerfed, which was the thing that mattered to me the second most. So overall, I'm pretty pleased. Let me know in the comments if you're pleased. Remember to like and subscribe to all my videos forever. And I'll miss you. How was that, chat? Did we do good? Oh, we just ended? Perfect timing. Yeah, it's okay. I'll post it on the YouTubes tonight. It was the best. Disturbing lack of Velrock agenda. You know, like, I would have liked to see... if it were up to me, I would have reverted Velrock, but I get it. I missed some. As far as things that didn't get reverted, yes, on purpose. Like, I didn't want to go through the whole list of things that missed. Yeah, like when we got to the end of the, I pointed out some like remarkables of the things that didn't make it. I didn't like go through in depth every single one. But yeah, I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.